Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. How does financial independence really work? Is it really possible to retire in your early 30s if you're just coming from average means? And how much do you need to make if you want to retire early? And what happens if you retire way too early? Does that mean you get less money? In this video, I'll cover all these questions about FIRE and share with you my own thoughts and insights about FIRE. Let's jump right in. There are many stories out there of people who have scrimped, saved, invested, and retired early as 35. How is that even possible, you might be wondering? Well, that concept is known as FIRE, which stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And it has inspired an entire movement of people. This movement is a path that many are pursuing to increase their savings, to increase their investments, so they can retire early and achieve financial independence. The overall goal of FIRE is to retire at a much earlier age, often your 30s or 40s, as opposed to the traditional retirement age of 65 or even 70. And the thought behind this concept is that by retiring early, you can spend more of your time doing the things you want to do as opposed to working. Because when you work a job, any job for that matter, you have to trade your time for money. And time is a very limited commodity because once time has passed, it doesn't come back. You can choose to spend your time with family, with friends, going on trips and adventures. You can learn something new. The possibilities are endless. Or you could choose to spend time watching my videos and learning something new about personal finance. But you also need money to spend in life. So you have to decide how much of your time you want to trade for money and how much of your time you want to keep for yourself. By the way, if you're new to the channel or you've seen my content before, do me one huge favor. Hit that like and subscribe button because it lets me know two things. One, it lets me know to produce more content like this. And two, you don't miss out on future videos. One thing most people misunderstand about the concept of FIRE is that it's all about saving and scrimping all of your savings so you can enjoy life at a much later stage. And here's the thing, FIRE is not a defined mold. It's actually a spectrum that fits a wide variety of concepts. And there are different interpretations of the FIRE model, ranging from moderate all the way to extreme, and I'll cover these ranging concepts in this video. And for you to determine whether FIRE makes sense for you, you have to understand the positives as well as the negatives, just like with any other concept. And no matter which interpretation of FIRE you choose to follow, there's one thing you definitely need to have, and that's the ability to save money. Not just save, but save more than the average individual. In a nutshell, the more you're able to save, the quicker you get to the goalpost of being financially independent. But savings alone won't get you there. You have to invest those savings, which is a very crucial element into the FIRE concept. And where do you invest? I have an entire series dedicated to the concept of investing, so make sure you check out those videos on how you can get started with investing, whether it's stocks or ETFs. And here's another very important concept. One of the biggest drawbacks of FIRE is that being extremely frugal, even if it's just for a few years, it can have a severe impact on your mental health, where you're actively depriving yourself so you can live for tomorrow. That puts you in a very bad mental state. You need to plan for tomorrow, but don't forget to live for today. It shouldn't be about frugality at all costs, just so you can reach some arbitrary milestone, because you don't want to make lifestyle sacrifices that you will regret later on. And some people who want to retire sooner can pursue another method. This is called barista FIRE. In this scenario, you can quit your full-time job once you have enough retirement savings stashed away to grow into a very nice nest egg in a few years without having to add additional funds. But rather than stopping work altogether, you get a part-time job. Maybe you pursue a less lucrative dream career, or maybe you work on some freelance projects, all in order to cover your basic living expenses. And while you're doing that, remember that nest egg you stashed away? Well, it's still growing until you choose to retire at a much more traditional age. And those who aren't interested in pinching pennies and want to have a higher than average living expenses can still choose to retire but have to actively increase their income. And this concept is known as Fat FIRE and involves increasing your incomes by negotiating a higher salary or finding a higher paying job. Maybe adding more sought after skill set to your resume. Maybe you work an extra part-time job or you start a side hustle. Or maybe you have a portfolio of rental properties. No matter what you choose, the whole concept is to increase your revenue streams, having multiple sources of income. And those pursuing Fat FIRE will choose to work in higher paying professions, or maybe you take longer to get to your ultimate financial independence goal. As I mentioned at the start of this video, there is no right or wrong approach to FIRE. It's a wide-ranging spectrum. You have to decide where in the spectrum do you fall under. And just like there are stories of those who retired early and found new ventures, there are just as many stories of people who have retired and then ultimately went back to work because they were bored. Financial independence doesn't have to be about early retirement. It's about giving yourself the option to make a career change, the option to go back to school to learn something new, whatever it is, you have options that you can pursue. And if you want to implement the concepts of FIRE, you have to be realistic. First, you have to start off by being consistent with your savings. Rather than saving without a plan, save a small amount every month, as even those small savings add up. Every time you get paid, prioritize bills and savings, and then investments before setting aside fun money for discretionary spending, rather than the other way around, where you spend on fun money, then pay your bills, and then whatever is left over goes into your investments. Once you have a better handle on your finances in terms of what's coming in, what's going out for daily expenses, and how much is left over, you can then calculate your FI, or financial independence number. And you do that by taking your annual expenses and multiply that by 25. This is also known as a 4% rule based on the Trinity study, which recommends withdrawing no more than 4% of your overall portfolio every year after you retire. Let's say your annual expenses are $40,000. Multiply that by 25. That will tell you how much you need in order to hit financial independence. And in this case, that's a cool $1 million. The other way you can look at this is that if you have $1 million, multiply that by 4%. That gives you $40,000. So that means you can withdraw $40,000 from your investment portfolio and stay retired. And as your portfolio continues to grow, you can continue to withdraw 4%. So in theory, you can withdraw more than $40,000 as long as your portfolio is growing, because it's not based on a fixed amount. It's based on a percentage, and that will vary based on the size of your portfolio. Now you might be wondering, why 4%? Well, this assumes an average rate of 7% per year for your investments to grow. Take away 3% for inflation, and you're left with 4%. And this rule simply predicts that you should be able to withdraw 4% of your portfolio every year in order to stay retired. Now, having said that, one of the other biggest misconceptions about FIRE is that you can never do anything for money ever again, which means never taking on a job again. And that's simply not true, because the whole concept around FIRE is giving yourself options. The options to retire, the option to work, the option to play, whatever it may be. You choose how you want to live your life. And trust me, if you found a way to retire early, there's a strong likelihood that you'll find some ways to make money if you want to. The whole mentality behind the FIRE movement is that you can strive to live the life you want on your own terms, rather than some predefined mold where you go to school, get a job, work for 40 years, and retire at the age of 65 or 70, and then live your life. If that's for you, great. If not, there are options out there, because it simply just doesn't have to be one way or the other. And getting started as early as possible, especially when it comes to investing, has many advantages. When you get a head start to savings and investing, you're giving your money more time to compound. And that's the biggest perk of FIRE. It's independence. Once you choose to stop working and your budget is sustainable, you have the freedom to do whatever it is you want. You can travel, be more involved in your kids' school activities, start a business, start a hobby, spend more time doing what you want to do rather than what you need to do. And if you choose to retire early, take a look at your budget, as it may involve making some significant lifestyle changes. And those changes could be as big as increasing your streams of income, or as small as making your own coffee. It all depends on when you choose to retire and how much you retire with, because it all comes down to reducing how much you spend, or boosting how much you save, or a combination of the two. If you want to retire super early, you have to widen the gap between what you bring in and what you spend out the door. And that gap is known as paying yourself first. And one way to do that drastically is by slashing your expenses and choosing to live a more minimalist or lean lifestyle. It can be a quick way to FIRE, but you have to understand the lifestyle choice you're making, which may involve lowering your FI number or living a more modest lifestyle. This whole concept is known as lean FIRE, and it's the complete opposite of fat FIRE. For anyone retiring, regardless of age, it's important to know what you're retiring to. And this is even more important for those looking to retire early. Figure out what is going to give your life meaning and purpose, so your retirement can bring you joy and happiness. So now that we understand the basic concepts of FIRE and the spectrum of lifestyle choices you can make all the way from lean FIRE, barista FIRE to fat FIRE, what is FIRE really all about? In summary, it's about discovering and achieving life goals. What would I do with my life if I didn't have to work for money? It's about simplifying and redesigning your lifestyle to reduce wasteful spending. Your wants and your needs are not written in stone, and reducing your spending is a powerful concept regardless of income level. FIRE can be about working to increase your revenue streams. That may involve taking on side projects, starting a side hustle, but all that involves additional hard work and effort, because you're striving to save a large percentage of your income, maybe more than 50%, just to accelerate your path to FI or financial independence. It's about learning to invest so you can make your money work for you, because you need to learn how to maximize and optimize your finances to fit your unique lifestyle. Because at the end of the day, all we want is to live our lives on our own terms. Now, having said all that, FIRE is not about gaining and building wealth for excessive consumption. And it's also not about taking the slow road to traditional retirement. Becoming financially independent requires hard work and a healthy attitude towards money, but also a degree of privilege. When you're thinking about FIRE, or when you're talking about FIRE, or having various discussions regarding FIRE, understand that it comes from a place of privilege. And remind yourself in the ways you're considered to be lucky. Because there are so many around the world living in hard circumstances that simply do not have the same privilege you may have. Now, before you go out there and start pursuing FIRE, I want you to understand and think long and hard about the following questions. Take a moment, close your eyes, and answer the following questions. What is your end goal? Assume for a moment that you've already achieved great wealth and no longer need to work for money. You've already bought and acquired all the things you could ever want, and you've enjoyed a few years not working. What would you do with yourself then? What type of lifestyle would bring you ultimate happiness, assuming money was no object? This is a life that you should be working to build through FIRE. I really want you to think about these questions and see what answers come up, because it may define the path you choose to pursue. But also be prepared for the sacrifices. It's the same as being incredibly fit and in shape. You need to work out and eat healthy almost every day. For some people, being incredibly fit is well worth the sacrifice of working out and being away from junk food. On the other hand, there are plenty of people out there who would rather eat whatever they want and not have to look a certain way. It doesn't really matter. It's a lifestyle choice, whatever works for you, because there is no right or wrong answer. The same is true for financial independence. The basic concept is easy. Earn more, spend less, save the difference, and invest it, retire early. But you have to make sacrifices. Some people want to be financially free so badly that they're willing to live a minimalist lifestyle to avoid much wasteful spending altogether. On the other hand, some people are okay working jobs and spending every single dollar that they have because that's what brings them happiness. There's nothing wrong with either mentality. Just be sure FIRE is something that you truly want. At the end of the day, you want to bring your life happiness, whichever way it may be. And living that FIRE lifestyle, it's a spectrum. Depending on your life and your goals and your values, you can tailor it to suit your needs. And recently, I was featured in the Toronto Star, where I was asked to give my insights and thoughts about FIRE. I was asked various questions about my take on FIRE. Is it attainable? How I got into it? And what am I ultimately hoping to achieve through FIRE? So if you're interested in reading more about that article, I will leave a link in the description below so you can check that out. Thank you so much for watching. This channel would not exist without your love and your support. If you've enjoyed this video or any one of my other videos, consider hitting that super thanks button on the bottom of this video. It's a new way to directly support your favorite content creators on YouTube. Or if you'd like, you can buy me a virtual coffee as another way to support my content and the channel. All proceeds will be used to bring you even more value-added content that I hope will leave a lasting impact on your investing journey. So if that sounds good to you, check out the link in the description of this video to buy me that virtual coffee. And on that very same page, you can download my custom-built Excel-based dividend portfolio tracking spreadsheet, which I use to track my own dividends, forecast my dividend income, and track my gains. So you can keep track of your portfolio exactly the same way I do. If you have questions for me, feedback on this video, or maybe you have ideas on future content, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And while you're at it, make sure you've hit that like and subscribe button or that thanks button. That's it for now. I'll talk to you in the comment section.